Welcome to the Covert Nerd Podcast. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. Please take a moment and pause this podcast right now and share it with somebody who you would think would enjoy the same topic, whether it's a family member, friend, coworker. I would really appreciate it. Please go to covertnerd.net for all the previous episodes and the different ways that you can get in touch with me. And without further ado, let's dive right in and nerd it up. We've got Kurgan in the house, what I would consider one of the HeroQuest experts. We've done this annually, Kurgan, so I kind of the state of HeroQuest address. So you're the commander-in-chief.
Well, I'm honored. Thanks, Lee. Good to be with you once again.
Look forward to talking to you about some HeroQuest and kind of get your 2 cents worth on the HeroQuest universe and the community and all that.
I was just saying, you honor me a lot by calling me the commander or whatever, but I feel like I've provided a space and I've attracted some people to try to get some like information together, share some ideas, some stories, and I've really been pleased to see the people who've come my way, like as far as like bringing their like talent and artistic abilities and like news reporting skills. So I can't take credit for what they bring, but do what I can. And I know that there's other sections of the community that I'm not aware of, and I'm trying to get connected with them. For example, there's a ton of people outside the English speaking world. Like there's this guy in Spain who does a lot of stuff. Maybe you've seen his YouTube channel. It's called The Path of Morcar, Lagoridia de Morcar or something, but I'm saying it wrong. But his name is Cristobal. He's got a big hat, a big like fedora and beard and everything, and he's got a great intro. Anyway, that guy is like a lot of followers, and he's connected with a bunch of people. And then there's some guys in Italy.
Yes, I was just gonna say Italy has a lot of fans too.
Yeah, Germany has a lot of people. There's one guy I've been following a lot recently, a Dungeon Master. I almost called him Dungeon Meister, but but yeah,
That'd be
Dungeon
good too.
Master. He did a bunch of reporting from Luca. So there's all these folks, and it's like I'm terrible with languages, so I use like the auto translate on YouTube. But anyway, as far as like how HeroQuest is going, so you just kind of want my take on
Yeah.
like.
Well, first let's I remember asking you this last year, and it probably hasn't changed, but I wanted to see what's your opinion of the HeroQuest 2021, versus the classic. I guess I know last year you were still really impressed with the new release. Is that still
Mhm.
pretty much your opinion, or has it stayed the same, or gone up or down, or what's your thoughts on now that we're 2 years out?
Well, I've definitely seen, and some of this I think we saw right off the bat, like back November of 2021, or I guess October in some people's cases, even though this was sort of portrayed in, it being a HasLab crowd-funded product, that this was like a deluxe kind of like once in a lifetime collector edition, thing. But really it wasn't. It had kind of a cheap feeling to it. I mean, this is like made in China, like factory produced, slapped together, thrown out there as quickly as possible. Not a lot of quality testing to it, which is kind of, sad to admit. But I remember people complained about it at the time, and I kind of was quiet about it because I didn't have a lot of the same problems a lot of other people did. But every week I've been playing HeroQuest since I got it, pretty much. To be fair, there was a few months at the start that we didn't do anything, but yeah, HeroQuest fans. So every week I'd open up that box, that game system box, and it took like, I want to say it took like 30 seconds to take the lid off.
Yes.
And when I was done and put everything back, it took another 30 seconds to like push it down with all the air. And I'd get, impatient. I'd sometimes like push it down. But anyway, the box finally ripped at the seams. It like ripped. And I was like, darn it. So I got, my wood glue out and repaired it. But it was just like, okay, yeah. And we all complained about the candy trays, that I call them, the vacuum formed PVC or whatever it is, and how hard it was to pull those out. So all that stuff everybody complained about. And there were so many people that complained about, pieces having like missing arms or
Yep.
heads. And, they would get back to you and, replace them. It was just kind of like, what? This is
Yeah.
Hasbro, the great toy company. This is what they do. Or they glued the thing backwards so the guy's arm is like going the wrong way or something. Stuff like that. It's like, oh man. So they've done a lot to improve that. Now, as someone who spent money on the HasLab version, it's like, okay, I kind of feel like I kind of got the short end. I
Yeah.
mean, what am I supposed to do? Write a strongly worded letter and say, I want you to send me like a replacement for everything?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because on the one hand, it's like, yeah, they shouldn't be so cheap. And on the other hand, it's like, I kind of sound like a jerk just saying that. So I don't know.
Out of the many that went out, I mean, percentage wise, well, I guess if you consider the HasLab version, there was only what, I don't know. Somebody did the math on it one time. It was like 50,000
Yeah.
copies or something like that. Well, depends, I guess, if you count the mythic tier and
Yeah, I don't know how many copies there actually were. People have kind of estimated. I think it was like 120,000
yeah, something like that.
or something. At first, I thought I'd figured it out because I was like, oh, it's like 8,000 backers. But then it's like, no, it can't be right because then it would be like a really small price because it was 150
Yeah.
plus shipping.
Yep.
And I think the majority of the sets that were ordered were the mythic tier ones, and those got shipped first. But from what I've seen, and I think it didn't really dawn on me what had changed until Gen Con this past year. And I always talk about Gen Con because it was like the first one that I ever went to, and
Yes.
might be
Yeah.
the last one. It is we got to meet the guy that designed the new box. It was released in January 2022.
Yeah.
Adam Glick is his name, and he was just like, because we saw him like towards the end of the convention, he's like putting the stuff back into the trays, like trying to snap them into the right ones, and he was like looked really frustrated. He's like, "This is
Hey.
bad for you as well as for us." He's like, "Yeah, he's telling us about the new box." He's like, "Oh yeah, so you did that, great." So when I saw that, I was like, "Oh great, they're probably the majority of the ones that they're selling are like higher quality." Just basic things like the stuff fits back in the box like you wanted, and it isn't a chore to get it in and out. Because otherwise, you just throw half of it away because it's an
Yeah.
annoyance. So I think that's a positive step. I was completely wrong. So the number of copies sold for the HasLab campaign was actually 24,814. If we're just assuming it's all mythic tier, which it wasn't, but so around that ballpark. And actually, I've heard different figures from people. I think Jordan Sorcery said 126,000 because I think that's what was stuck in my head. But I think he was talking about the original version.
Okay.
But then I've talked to some more people, and that 126,000 figure is like the original UK version, like 1989 first edition.
Oh.
So I think globally, at least according to one magazine, and I don't know what their source was, it's called Amiga Format.
Okay.
It was 300,000 copies worldwide in 1990.
Okay.
So who knows how much it sold after that? But I don't know what the sales figures are for the new game, but I assume they must be doing well enough.
I would speculate they're higher than that, just because obviously the world's population is higher too, and
yeah, do as many people buy board games now as they did then? I mean, they're more expensive to make, but
that's debatable. Yeah. I think there's a bit of an underground movement on board games in general. I mean, it's definitely
we had
picking up speed.
You had a surge of it. Yeah, sorry. You had a surge of it before COVID happened, because I remember like a lot of like young couples that I knew that were maybe like 10 years younger than I was, or maybe more, would be like, "Oh yeah, we're having board game night. Everybody, let's play some board games." And it's like you didn't hear that before. So it's like, okay, couple gets married, they buy a bunch of board games, so they put their board game collections together, and then they invite friends over, play with their kids. It's like, that was kind of like a trend.
It
At
is.
least
It's still
people I
still kind
knew.
of is. My son, who's 27, and his friends, they get together and play board games. It's just weird. I mean, it's good weird. It's just you wouldn't think. I'm an old man, so I'm like, oh, those kids today, they just want to go on TikTok and all that stuff.
Well, for us, it was video games. It was like, okay, well,
That's true.
You played board games, you play video games, but the video games are kind of like higher on the tier, but maybe they're more expensive. So it's like, okay, well, let's get a board game in between.
Yeah. But your
Or
personal
Mom
opinion.
said we had to turn the TV off, so
yes.
Okay, we'll play this.
Turn the games off. Turn the TV off. Yeah.
It's still a game. You just don't understand.
Yeah, that's true. It's still a game. It's just on screen. Which expansion, I guess, out of the official expansions? So we've got Rise of the Dread Moon as the latest expansion. what is your favorite expansion, official expansion?
It's tempting to say like the latest one that came out. I'm certainly enjoying and appreciating a lot of the work that went into Rise of the Dread Moon, but I think my nostalgic feelings towards Return of the Witch Lord are the highest,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
It's because when you bought the classic game, which I think the classic game is still it for me. I
Okay.
mean, the remake I think has really impressed me a lot, and I think the version that they fine tuned for 2022 is kind of a cut above the mythic stuff. But anyway, yeah, going back to Return of the Witch Lord, I just remember between that one and Keller's Keep, so I would have been probably like 12 when I played that, maybe a little bit, maybe like 13 or 14 by the time we finally finished it all. But Keller's Keep had many more instances, I think, where they just threw something that felt really cheap and really cheesy at you, like some really nasty trap from Zargon, and it's like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm just playing what it says right here. It's just it told me to do that,
Yes.
And you're like, dang it, this is unfair. This sucks. I was kind of a sore loser back then, but I think Return of the Witch Lord had some of that, but it didn't rely on that as much. And I think the idea of the recurring villain, even though you could say, oh, it's so silly, you fight the Witch Lord and then you fight him again, and he's not
Yeah.
really dead, and you fight him again, but he is the Witch Lord.
Sure.
You really got to make sure you killed him because he
Yeah.
keeps coming back. So I think that looming threat that you're like, okay, we're getting ready to fight him, and we're fighting more of his generals, and we're fighting more of his troops, and he's laying traps for us. That was more compelling to me as a story than just, oh man, the emperor's out there, and you got to find him. You got to,
Help him.
dig through the tunnels to get that map, and
Yeah.
I got the map, and then oh, there he is, and yeah, he won. It just didn't seem quite as interesting. So I don't know for sure if they were just written at the same time, or if maybe Keller's Keep was like the dry run, and then they made Return of the Witch Lord to kind
That's
of
a good question.
tighten things up. But because I played him in a different order than a lot of people say that you're supposed
Yeah.
to. I did the game system as a hero, and then I played Return of the Witch Lord, loved it, and then I did Keller's Keep, and I almost quit playing the game because I was so mad.
Almost got you out of the game. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think all those years dreaming about Mage of the Mirror and Frozen Horror, thinking like all these are going to be so great. I mean, look at that. You got ogres, you got big wolves
Yes.
and stuff. That looks
Yeah.
so cool. Oh, and there's a different barbarian and a different elf. But then fast forward to the future and you finally play them and it's like, wow, these are really broken. This requires a lot of work to make it good. And I went kind of the opposite direction that I tell people to, which is I'm saying take stuff out. Like cut out a lot of the monsters and it won't be
Yeah.
so bad.
Yes.
You're like, okay, I need a month to play each quest because it's so long. Whereas what I did is I added more potions and more treasures and perks and things so that the heroes would have a chance of surviving. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, but they're going to have to grind through all these monsters and traps, and it's going to take a
Yes.
long time.
That slows
They're
down
probably
the
going to win,
pace.
but
Yeah. Yeah. It slows down the
there's
pace.
going to be a lot of death saves.
So if you would have had Barbarian Quest, it might have, if Keller's Keep almost, put a bad taste in your mouth, then, Frozen Horror and Major Mirror might have really done you in.
Yeah, probably would have. I probably would have just said, you know what, I'm just going to play my Sega Genesis. I don't need this. This game sucks. It's not good anymore.
Well, what's your favorite expansion now, though, now that you've played a lot of these?
I guess I can't fairly say because
Okay.
I've only sampled some of the other ones, like Against the Ogre Horde, and to be fair, I was playing Phoenix's mod of it. I played a little bit of it. It kind of was neat, but I mean, just my initial impression was, well, ogres are just like really big chaos warriors. How are they
Yeah.
really that interesting?
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
some of the traps are kind of interesting, but the storyline, it just there just isn't much there. And Wizards of Morcar, never played it. The Japanese quests, I played a little bit of them, but I didn't really get far enough. And I wasn't really using all of the official rules at that time because they weren't translated yet. So
Yeah.
I didn't really know quite what I was doing, like, starting from square one and going on. And Prophecy of Telor, Spirit Queen's Tournament, I haven't played those. I've only read the quest books. So I don't think I can really fairly judge. Now, Rise of the Dread Moon is interesting and it's got a
Yes.
lot of potential there, but I think it's definitely designed for people who've played a lot of HeroQuest already
Okay.
because it's like throwing curveballs at you. Like,
Yeah.
oh, here's a quest where there's no fighting.
Yeah.
Like, how are you
Yeah.
gonna do? How are you gonna win when you're not fighting? So you're like, okay, gonna do that, and then there's all those opportunity costs. Like, no matter what you do, you're gonna miss out on something. Like, you choose path A, you're never gonna get to choose path B. So that makes you want to go and replay the whole campaign again. And it's like, well, let's do everything differently to see choose your own adventure style. What happened. Whereas with these other quests, it's just kind of like, well, we won it. There's no reason to go back.
Rise of the Dread Moon definitely took a different direction, which is cool.
Yeah, but we're only into like quest 4, so we got a long ways to go before I feel like I could really judge. I think if I had gotten Frozen Horror and Mage of the Mirror back in the day, especially if I'd bought them with my own money and not returned them, I think I would have hopefully been mature enough to go, okay, I made a mistake. How can we fix this?
Yeah.
And my brother, who was, maturing very fast, younger brother, would have said, listen, I've been writing these quests. Why don't you just try your hand at it? See if you can do better. Because you've done all this complaining now
Yeah.
about how unfair it is. Why don't you try it? And then that might have set me on a different path of, rewriting everything. Because other people have done that. Other fans have done that. They've had their own like rewritten versions. And I think Avalon Hill was wise to like listen to a lot of that feedback with their kind of late revisions to those 2 packs, and then creating all of Rise of the Dread Moon based on feedback. It's like almost all feedback that created that pack, from what Chris Nato said about it at Gen Con and later.
Yeah, and I think at least the new figures, I think that was the appeal of Frozen Horror of Mage of Mirrors. Obviously, as a kid, 12-year-old, look at these cool figures, look at these new
They look
cards,
cool.
and it's all
It
different.
inspires
And
you.
yeah, yeah, and so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know, it's interesting. I guess least favorite then would be Kellar's Keep. Then you think that?
I think so, but I am kind of intrigued by the idea of how I would think about it today, like playing it today. What would I,
That's
as
true.
a hero, what would I think of it? Or if I were in the driver's seat, yeah, going, okay, well, I know what's about to happen. Should I pull my punches here, or should I just let it play out? Or maybe if I introduce something a little later, it'll kind of make it worth it that they had to suffer through all that stuff, you know?
I'd be curious, I guess, with new fans, because you and me played it when we were kids, so we have a bit of nostalgia, and so our opinion can be swayed that way. I wonder what a 12-year-old now playing it, what their opinion is, or have you heard anything
Yeah,
online from people?
we'll have to run some tests. I don't know. I don't know, to be honest with you. I think when people do share their opinion, it's always just like, oh, well, I played with my kids and they really liked it.
Yeah, I've
But
heard
it's
that a
like,
lot.
okay, are we just hearing what we're not hearing from the parent that's like, well, we tried to play it and they were just, bawling
Yeah,
their eyes out and they were throwing pieces around, they were mad, and,
yeah.
and we just gave up.
I'd be curious to talk to somebody that I've never heard of this game. We bought it at off Amazon, and we played it, and just get a fresh opinion from somebody.
Yeah.
I'd be curious.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I started some poor souls on the Frozen Horror and they were really good sports about it. So, and at least one of them got hooked. So I think it can work.
Yeah, I've
But
heard
yeah,
here
what
and
if
there.
you started them with really good quests that a lot of people like?
Yeah, I've heard everybody, at least I've heard, and this just goes back to what you said. I've heard people that have introduced people to Hero Quest, but they were also fans of it, 30 years ago. So I'd just be
They're
curious
willing to give it.
yeah. So we're hearing it through their point of view. I'd be curious
Hmm.
just to set it in front of somebody that's never seen it, never heard of it, and say, play it, and then, walk away.
Yeah. Or somebody who maybe has never played a similar game, because to be fair, the people I started playing with were all D&D players.
Yeah,
So they're
yeah,
kind of just like, okay, they kind of had to reconfigure their mind, and okay, then they know what to do. Whereas,
yeah,
yeah, if just a little child that it's like, okay, we've played Candyland, we've played chess, now let's try this.
yeah, yeah.
you know?
Candyland Hero Quest.
Yeah. Well,
Ooh,
there's
a
some
Hero
talented
Quest.
individuals in our community. Jacer's one of them. He could take any game, just grab a game off the shelf and be like, okay, take these assets and put them into HeroQuest somehow, and he would like come up with a plan,
How about
like right before your eyes.
a HeroQuest version of Candyland?
Yeah, there was a lot of jokes about the new Prophecy Teller and Spirit Queen's Torment with the transparent figures,
Yes.
how they kind of look like gummy bears.
Yes, they do.
It's like that's how they don't eat them. Yeah, got to cross the Rainbow Bridge at the end to Valhalla. Yeah,
Don't get lost in the Telor forest or something.
yeah, the molasses swamp.
How about your favorite official quest?
Oh, I didn't say my least favorite. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, least favorite expansion.
Least favorite. And it's weird because I spent so much time on it. Like I would say Frozen Horror is my least favorite because
Really?
it
Okay.
it had so much wrong with it.
The Yeti,
But
the Yeti hug.
yeah, the Yeti. But even setting aside the Yeti, it was ridiculous. But I suppose, if you want it to be the Dark Souls of HeroQuest, or if you just want to, I don't know. I guess I'm so forgiving because I treat it as like a piece of history. It's like, well, let's see if we could make it. Okay, we couldn't. Okay, well, let's see if we
Yeah.
can make it if we made these changes. So the challenge was making it playable and fun versus just you play it a dozen times and then give up. So I guess it's not as bad as it sounds. I don't think I've
No.
ever played a quest pack where I was really like, this is worthless. Like I hate it. So anyway, your next question. Sorry.
Had more modification. I suppose now that you're older, you know how to mod it a little bit better to make it more fun compared to 30 years ago.
When you get a live audience.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I suppose you run it a little different than if you're just at home playing with some friends or family. What about your favorite official quest? So we talked about quest packs, but what quest is your favorite?
This is gonna shock a lot of people. The Castle of Mystery is my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really? Why?
And well, and I've played it and been frustrated by it because you're teleporting around those rooms.
Yeah.
And you keep getting the number that you don't want, and you're like, I'm never gonna get there. Where's that ring of return so I can get out of here? It kind of like annoys you. But I think the first time I experienced it, I was so delighted by how different it was, just how random. Well, literally, you walk through a door and you get teleported into another room. And we had, I don't think we were playing it right because we had monsters like walking into doors, and then we would just like Super Mario Brothers style, like land on top of them and like kill them. And so we were like bouncing around. I think you're only supposed to do it once, but we just kept on doing it. So like we kept bouncing around until we killed like half the monsters. And we're like, okay, now that that's done, now how do we get out of here?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
But I mean, it was just a fun thing. I guess it was kind of the perfect thing for a kid, and I don't know, maybe as a grown up I'm less tolerant because I know what's happening, but I just appreciated the fact that it was so different and so novel. I really did enjoy the first stealth mission in Rise of the Dread Moon. Yes. I forget the name of it, but I'm not sure it's my favorite because a lot of the things that I enjoy about HeroQuest, rolling the dice and killing the monsters, was barely there. So I'm like, well, I don't know if I could say it's my favorite.
It's just different, just kind of like the rolling for the random rooms. Yeah, that mechanic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and I don't care if a lot of people say that one sucks and they hate it. I think I read some article. They said the worst quest in all of HeroQuest is the Castle Mystery.
They thought that one. Yes. I thought it was it's just different, as you're not grinding as much. So, yeah, I thought it was fine. But let's see.
I mean, a lot of people would probably say the Trial is the best quest, the best and only quest, because you play that one and then it's done, or you play it again with the next group, and then you play it again with the next group.
Because you're playing it so many times that you just exactly.
Right. Everybody remembers at least that one.
Oh,
it's like, wasn't that the one with the big gray guy that like killed everybody and then never played it again?
And then it sits on their shelf for 20 years and
yeah. I mean, maybe it's a bad quest because it kills so many people, and it's supposed to toughen them up. Like, let's go at it again. Like that's sort of Stephen Baker's idea. Like, let's go for it again. And whereas a lot of people just like, nah,
they're disheartened.
Let's just do something easier. This is too hard.
When I play it with people, I kind of usually mod it down a little bit and try to not make it so hard. make it a little easier.
Mhm.
So, well,
Maybe
speaking of mechanics,
give them a rousing speech at the start about how, listen, this game is going to test you.
it's going to
You got to
literally
be
test you.
brave, you got to be bold, you got to be tenacious.
Yes.
You can't be afraid to die.
Don't give up.
Don't give up. Never surrender. Yeah.
Well, speaking of game mechanics, then I guess, is that one of your new game mechanics that you kind of like? The Rise of the Dread Moon, about just going around and talking to people?
The RPG light thing, it was kind of funny because we started doing a little bit of that in Nightfall, which was the preview quest, where they're like, the characters should introduce each other to each other, like in character. And it was just really weird because people were like, I didn't know that supposed to do that in this game. Like, I don't know. I'm a barbarian. Hi, how's it going?
Yeah, do I talk like a pirate?
Weird.
How do I talk?
Yeah, and then you have like one person who would be more into it, but Gallstaff, sorcerer of light or something.
Yeah.
Great gray eyes, elf. But anyway, yeah, the RPG light stuff, I don't know. I don't think you can force it on people. It has to come organically. So if they're not into it, it's just not going to happen. It's like, you know who I am. Let's get on with it.
It's like, let's just get to the story.
Think, new mechanic wise, yeah, I enjoyed the rogue, enjoyed the wandering monk. Just the way they play, they're kind of interesting. They're just their mechanics, because it's so different from the other heroes. It's not just like the knight where they have a couple of abilities. Actually, I think until that point, all the heroes felt like variations of each other.
Yeah.
Guy with 3 spells, starting weapon, they're just different spells, or use this one item. So those I really liked. I think the other I really have enjoyed so far is the alchemy system.
Oh
in
yeah.
Rise of the Dread Moon.
Yes.
And maybe partially because that's something I've already been doing, and people long before me had thought of that idea too.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, what if you could interact with the furniture and get extra magic somehow? Which is basically what it is. Or what if I just could get random magic extra?
Yeah.
So, and I guess you kind of had that with the spell scrolls a little bit, but it's much more varied. So, I mean, I've had a potions deck that I've had different opportunities to draw from, and this was just kind of integrating it into the game more. And I thought, great, I like it.
I wonder, with that mechanic, the alchemy, I assume the team that's doing this is obviously Hero Quest fans from 20, 30 years ago, and they probably did something like that already, I would assume.
They could have. Oh, you think maybe they had their house rules from when they were 12 that they just like dusted off and like made official?
Or at least that concept came from that, I would assume. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, Yield In has had a potions deck on there, but I'm sure that probably wasn't the first one. There's probably others out there.
No, I would suspect that some of these people that are on the team, the creative team, were like, hey, I remember I had a potions deck when I was a kid, and maybe we could do something like that,
Yeah. So, I should ask that the next time I do some interview. If they'll do any more, like they watched those that I did before, and like, whoa, that guy, no more. If you see him, he's on the ban list.
Who's on the team? Or some of the members? I guess obviously there's some people, back at HQ that are, Hasbro or Avalon Hill, whatever, that are on the team, creative team, that we don't know about.
Yeah, I don't know all their names. I got to meet Chris Nato, the project leader, and I'm probably going to get some of their titles wrong. The marketing guy, Patrick O'Rourke, and Avalon Bill. So his name is what is it? William Hort, I think. Mort with an M.
Mort. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, Avalon Bill. Yeah, so he's the kind of like the PR social media guy. So he's the one that gets yelled at on Twitter. So, and I yelled at him on the Discord. So we had a good laugh over that. So I got to talk to those folks. I chatted a little bit with Tess Hogan, who wrote the majority of the Rise of the Dread Moon quest. She didn't write Nightfall, but I think she wrote the rest. Doug Hopkins was not at Gen Con, so I didn't get to meet him. That would have been an interesting conversation to have, because it sounds like a lot of the mechanics and a lot of this, I don't know, nuts and bolts of the game go through him. I don't know if he just makes it up himself or if they just gather around the table and he just kind of like assembles it or what. But yeah, he wasn't there, so I
If you had to
haven't met him.
guess on the team size, how big do you think the team is? If you're just
Well,
ballparking it,
I
the
yeah, I don't
creative team,
know
I should say.
if I can take everything they tell me at face value or if I can remember it perfectly. But from what I was told at Gen Con, like when they started, when the HasLab campaign was going, there was like 2 people.
That's
So
it.
I don't know which two, because Patrick O'Rourke was doing the marketing. He was basically getting, selling it to Hasbro, saying like, you've got to do this. And they're like, we'll do the HasLab and let's see how it goes. But then there was also Max Dunbar, who was doing art. But I think a lot of these people are maybe just contractors. They just bring him in. And it's like, just do this. Stephen Baker, yeah, we want you to do some voiceovers. Oh, can you advise us a little bit? Write these quests, and then he's done. So I don't know how much of that, but at least Patrick O'Rourke was one of them. Chris Nato is a project guy, but I mean, I assume all the projects he has some hand in it. He's not necessarily doing the work. He's organizing, facilitating it, or whatever. So I don't know 100% who the two were, but it might have just been Doug Hopkins and Patrick O'Rourke. I don't know.
I figured the team would be bigger than that.
Well, now, or at least at the time of Gen Con, they said it was around 20 people that were working on HeroQuest. But the idea that like they had a 200-page like writer's bible for the franchise, and then like one person writes 10 quests for an expansion, and one guy does all the mechanics for the the new heroes and the new quest pack monsters and all that stuff, and one guy does the marketing, and 2 guys work on the companion app every 2 months, and and one guy goes to the conventions and talks to everybody. And but then there were some other people at Gen Con that they didn't want to do interviews. They were just kind of sitting there, and it's like, I'm not really sure what they do, what their function is. So there was at least 2 other people, man and a woman, and then there was Adam Glick, and we just talked to him by accident. I didn't even know, like, I didn't know the distinction they had between like people that are actually Avalon Hill employees and people who are just volunteers until later. If you see video of Gen Con, like the volunteers had gray shirts on. So some of them were from like other companies, like friends of theirs in other companies, or they were just like fans that showed up and like got trained to do stuff. But all the people in the red shirts were actual like Hasbro employees that are in this Avalon Hill division or imprint or publisher or segment of Hasbro Gaming, whatever you want to call it. I think they just have an office like in the big building. Like, you walk down the hall and it's like, oh, there's Avalon Hill. And then I've never been there, but that's what it sounds like.
That would be cool to check that out. I'd be curious. I was just curious what type of size of team we're looking at here on
Around
who's
20.
in charge of this.
Yeah.
Around 20. Okay, interesting. And I'm sure they've got tons of play testers and focus groups and stuff that are.
That's the other thing. Yeah, I'm sure at any time, if they're pulling the numbers they need, that they could just bring people in.
Yeah, just
like, oh
hey,
yeah, send a couple of guys down there. A couple interns will come in and help you out with that project, or
playtest stuff.
they'll get a guest writer in.
Yep.
I think they've done that with each of the new expansions. They've gotten like at least one other person just contracted in to do some artwork or to do some promotional stuff.
Hey, come up
Joe
with some.
Manganiello walks in.
Yeah. Well, how about some figures? Let's talk about figures. We talked about as a kid seeing some of those new figures. You're just like, this is totally cool. What's your favorite figure? I guess we should split it out: classic versus, the reboot. What's your favorite classic figure of all time?
Yeah. Well, I definitely have nostalgia for almost all of them, so it's hard to pick, your favorite. But I think it goes back to the orc. I just love the classic orc. He's just grinning from ear to ear, like he just can't wait to just, split somebody open with whatever weapon is in his hand. And so early on I adopted it as my avatar because it just, like, when I think of HeroQuest, it immediately comes to mind. I mean, for some people it's the skull or the dice, the bunny of Immortal Evil, or the Chaos Warrior or something. But yeah, it always goes back to the orc. They're the fodder, the cannon fodder of the game.
How about the remake? What's your favorite figure from the remake?
That's tough because I think a lot of them are just kind of like, I can see this miniature and it's a decent miniature and it's trying so hard to be the classic version, but it can't quite for legal reasons. So it's, I don't know. I really like the elf in Mage of the Mirror. He looks pretty awesome, and he's based directly on the old artwork from the cover. He's got his shield and he's got his like curved sword coming in.
Right. Yes. Okay. A nod to the old.
Yeah, yeah.
How about the assassin? I know that one's been pretty popular lately.
Oh, with the jump rope, the
Yeah, the
evil
jump rope.
jump rope. I don't know how I feel about that one. I'm still thinking about it.
So I know Amalgamash loves the warlock. He's a big fan of the warlock.
I'm gonna make fun of him. The Darlock, is it called? Darlene Warlock.
The Darlock. Oh man.
Yeah. I was like, man, that guy needs to make a video where he throws the box across the room. He promised. And he's got a lot of his fans upset.
Better do
So
it.
anyway, Ash
You better do
Quest,
it.
check it out. Good content.
He has some great content. I'll put a link in the show notes.
Yep.
He's got some fun videos.
He's got a lot of bass in his voice too, and I think that helps.
Yes, he does.
That's really carried him far, and I hope he continues to utilize that gift.
Yes. Yeah, I think you guys spar a little bit, don't you, about predictions and stuff like that?
Yeah, we do. Usually we're both wrong, but although I'm sure he probably was right one or two times more than me, and it's in his favor.
Okay,
I'll get him next time.
You're not keeping score, are you?
No.
No, I know. Well, speaking of predictions, then I guess what expansions do you think are going to be released in the future? We've already heard about Against the Ogre Horde, but
which I'm happy
beyond that,
about.
which do you think? What do you think is coming next? What's your prediction?
Well,
or I guess we should split it to what do you think they're going to do, and what would you want them to do?
Yeah. Well, I think I said before, I want them to re-release everything. So, and I want to see the Dwarf and the Wizard quest packs come out, and I want to see all of Joe's stuff come to retail.
Yes. Okay.
I want to see, a special box that's the Japanese edition, in remake format. So I want to see all that stuff, and I want to see them make like great original expansions that are awesome that everybody loves. So
they've listened to the fans so far, but yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah, well, I think so much depends on the market, the fickle fans and all that stuff. I think they can definitely count on us, the hardcores, but at the same time, like, you can't expect any company to coast just on our goodwill. So they have to be able to reach a mass market. And what does the mass market want when it comes to fantasy games? I don't know. Hopefully they do. I think some things are more sure than others. I think if Against the Ogre Horde is a success, I think that will basically buy them the credibility to be able to do Wizards of Morkar. Because I think there's still a lot of people that were in doubt. Like, oh, you can't take a European exclusive expansion and bring it to the North American market. And like, nobody's heard of this in North America, so nobody's going to care except for a few people. And so if they can do that, they can do Wizards of Morkar. And I think if they make changes and they're received positively, that will give them the confidence and the cred to do it again even more. Because from what I understand, a lot more people liked Ogre Horde, and then Wizards of Morkar was more like, well, these are some nice assets to make my own adventures, but I don't really, like what they did. It's kind of hit and miss. So that would give them the freedom to make more changes. People wouldn't object. But then after that, okay, well, I know that some of my thoughts there were already shot down at Gen Con. So it's like, nope, Joe's not going to do it. It's not going to happen. Those were exclusive. They're proprietary. It's, not going to happen. So not this never say never thing. It's like, nope. Why? Don't know why. Maybe it was just because that's what it was meant to be. It was meant to be just an exclusive. It didn't get funded. And so maybe he made a deal to say, this is one time only and that's it. Maybe. A lot of people still want it. They can make a lot of money if they got it out to people, regardless of the quality, just the fact that it was another one of those ones that got away. And I'm sure they'd tighten it up more, just like they did the other two. I think a lot of the one-off quests that were official from back in the day, the Dave Morris ones, because that was shot down too. It's like, well, the Dave Morris novels like now don't reflect the way we view the HeroQuest world. with the Games Workshop stuff taken out, even though Dave Morris was like, they dumped that on him, like, oh, it needs to have more Warhammer stuff, and he's like, let me just cram that in there, you know. So and maybe he, I think he made some comment like, well, the better version of Hero Quest is the Gloranthia one. So I don't know if he was just like kidding around or if he really was just like, nah, I don't care anymore. But could they bring him back? I mean, a lot of franchises, they do that. It's like Han Solo will never come back to Star Wars, and like, oh well, if the money's right and if you kill me off, Harrison Ford's like, yeah, put me in there.
Yeah, yeah.
So who knows? Never say never. But what if they did bring Dave Morris back or somebody and wrote some new Hero Quest novels and did a format similar to that, where it's like, yeah, it's a game book where you have a narrative and then a choose your own adventure style of thing, and then and here's a bonus quest you can use in the Hero Quest set you already have. They could do that, but would they? It's a very nostalgic kind of format, because I think now it's just what they want to do is just serve up a digital quest, put it online, put it in the app, and then that will be a way to entice more people to buy the physical game, because they see, oh, there's all this free stuff that I can play already and I can kind of sample it and see. So maybe those other quests, like the Dave Morris quest, like the Dark Company, like the Japanese adventures, like the maze, all that stuff, Plague of Zombies, whatever, all those could be just like digital quests that they would just like release periodically.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, kind of like
here's a
they
blast
did.
from the past, one from the vaults, a tweaked
I like
thing.
that. One from the vaults. I like that. That's a good idea. Well, yeah, why not just throw it on the website? Say, here you go, or in
Yeah,
the app or
yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
right. And they probably, I don't know if it might even be a better deal, like if they have to pay some writer from the 90s like royalties. It's like, okay, maybe that would be better than just like publishing it as a booklet that comes in a quest pack, the Plague of Zombies quest pack, the Maze quest pack,
Yeah.
and it's got to
Yeah.
have like a bunch of plastic in there. It's like, dang, it's $45 for the Maze. Wow. uh I definitely don't think they should. I think I've said this before. They definitely shouldn't sell fan quests. I think people have said, "Oh, you should put Mound of the Beastmen in a cool box and sell it." It's like, no, no. And I'm not talking about the fans. I'm talking about like Hasbro taking it over, because that's the whole D&D OGL thing again, where it's like, oh, well, you can't make money off of your mods, but we can. It's like, no, nobody wants that. So they should just dodge that completely. Just let that stuff be free. Let fans promote it, and that helps Hasbro, because you can see, well, I could buy this game that has 10 quests. Oh no, it's got like a million quests, because it's got all these free things online I can just download and play already. Wow, that's a great deal. I'll do it. Other things. So once they do Wizards of Morcar, let's say, they're kind of out of ideas at that point, except for the Dwarf and Wizard packs. Now, several people have come at me and said, well, no, because they already said at Gen Con, we're not going to release something just because it's from that era, that's broken, that wasn't finished, that nobody's nostalgic for. Like, why do that? Why not just create something new? At the same time, like, I like that history of it, and maybe I could be satisfied just seeing the notes and going wondering what it would be like. Or
And from a financial standpoint, there wouldn't be as much work involved for Hasbro to finish it. It's already, half done or more.
that's true, but I think maybe what they're thinking of, because they have all the stuff, they have the rights to it and they have it, so it's not like they haven't heard of it, like they've got to ask somebody about it yet. I don't know if Chris Nato himself has personally read it, but I'm sure he could easily if he wanted to, if he hasn't already. But the Wizard and Dwarf packs were still in that mold of Mage of the Mirror, Frozen Horror, which had all those problems. So
True.
from what I've seen though, the Wizard Quest pack was a lot easier, because you're the wizard. In those solo adventures, like, you're gonna have someone helping you out, so you're not just on your own. You're gonna get much more magic, and it's kind of, which is similar to what Dave Morris did with his quests. Like, he did 2 solo quests, one where you're a barbarian and you find a wizard that helps you, and when you're a wizard, you find a barbarian who helps you. So you're not really by yourself. It just seems that way.
Seems like that. Yeah,
Yeah, because Hero Quest is still a team sport, really.
it is.
Now, the Wizard Pack was almost done. That's true. So there's be very little for them to do. But they would get a chance to do the play testing, because I think if they had wanted to, I think I've said this before in past streams, is that I think when they were releasing Frozen Horror, they probably jumped right to it because they saw how popular it was and people were selling it for so much and people wanted it. They heard that buzz and they weren't thinking about, okay, they want it, but they don't want it exactly the same, like how broken it was. And I think they kind of got the message, okay, no, it is okay to change certain things from the classic era, because we made such a big deal about not changing the earlier expansions, but the
Yeah.
later expansions, yeah, go ahead and change those. Keep the potential. And they would have had the draft notes to see, okay, this is what they were planning to do. These were the ideas they were working on, but they never had time to actually finish it. Maybe not all of it would work, but at least they could get them on the right trajectory. So with the Wizard Pack, like if you wanted to just finish it right now, I mean, yeah, you and I would probably have different versions. Everybody would have a different interpretation of how it should have gone.
Hmm.
But at least you can see, okay, well, maybe if I tweak these little points here, it'll be a success versus just something that ends up being a collectible, but actually everyone hates it. you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, that's true.
And the dwarf pack, I don't know, because there's only like half of it there. So like the other half is not there. So I don't know if maybe Hasbro has more notes that we don't have that the public isn't aware of,
Could be.
or if it really was just halfway done. And so in that case, it's like, okay, so people are going to be really insistent that the first few quests are exactly like this, and then the later, oh, it can be anything. But then
Yeah.
you're just writing the ending in your mind. It's like, well, that wasn't the ending I imagined, but I don't know. The other thing, people have come at me and said, well, there was no, like, they took away the title Elf Quest Pack or Quest Pack for the Elf, Barbarian Quest Pack. It's just the subtitle. So it's like, okay, so it'd be like the Hammers of Hadrikar or whatever, or the I forget what the Evil Sorcerers one was, but it's like they had a title. So it's like, okay, well, that makes you think of something, and then and it just happens to be about a hero. But the sort of the template idea, because we've seen that before. It's like, okay, the alchemist shop has 4 potions. 3 of them only work for the title hero, and then the other one's generic. And there's an artifact that boosts your mind points by 1 and your body points by 2. And then either there's a bunch of artifacts that only the one hero can use, or a bunch of spells that are only for that one. So that was like the template. And there's 3 solo quests that are supposed to gear up that one hero or murder him. And then the other 7 quests are the group quests, and then the last one's a 2-parter where you fight the main bad guy. And it takes place in the homeland of that character. Like, it's very straightforward. So would they do that though? Because with Rise of the Dread Moon, they kind of just dumped the whole idea. I
It
mean,
did.
both I,
Yes.
Amalgamash, and probably a million other people thought, oh, it's going to be the Knight quest pack, and this is going to follow the Knight's history. And it's like, well, not really, not at all. He's just kind of there. It's up to you to make that up if you want.
Yeah, I agree.
So I I guess I kind of feel like they started something and they should finish it, like bringing the circle complete.
I
Give
agree.
us the match set. At the same time, though, I think if they had actually done it back in the day and I was still following Hero Quest in 93 or 94, it would have been like, wow, they're getting kind of greedy. Like, they want you to buy a quest pack for each hero and they want you to put them all together. You got to catch them all. They were doing that with Heroescape, where it's like, oh, you got to buy these booster packs and get the perfect army so that you can fight the other person who's already done that, because your friends have all bought all the packs.
Yeah, now
Are you
you
going to
got
be
it.
left behind? It's like, oh
Yeah.
no, I got
Yeah.
to do that. So it's like that kind of mentality of like a game being a collectible, competitive almost. I guess HeroQuest isn't quite that way because it's still the GM running the adventures, but thinking like, oh man, my elf is boosted up, but my barbarian isn't. I got to get his pack to make sure he's equal.
My thought is like once they do Wizards, or if they do Wizards of Morcar, I guess I shouldn't assume. In my opinion, you've released everything that was released in the past. So as far as a nostalgia play, I would love to see the dwarf and wizard, but if we don't, that's fine. I would die happy, I guess.
Well, I think as long as they keep the game available,
Yeah.
like would the market completely turn against HeroQuest as a brand? Like, no, we don't want this
No.
anymore. And would Hasbro just say, yeah, this is a waste. Let's just make these resources. Let's just put everybody else on different projects and forget all about it. I don't think they would do that. I mean, so far it looked like they committed to, like when they were talking, they were saying, oh yeah, 2026. I'm thinking like 5 years. That's pretty much the run of the original game. Like they want to at least go that long and cover. But do they have to really churn out a new expansion every year or two expansions every year? It seems like overkill, maybe. I mean, there was this
Yeah.
Star Wars miniatures game I was looking at the other day. I think it was called Imperial Assault.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I've heard
okay.
of
So
it.
there's like
Yeah, I know what
14
it is.
expansions in
Yeah.
a very short span of time. And maybe that works, but I think if they're so much depends on the marketing and the demographics, because if it's kids, you think, okay, well the kids are going to be devoted for it maybe maximum of 8 years. And
Maximum.
so
That's pushing it.
yeah, that's pushing it a lot. Yeah, maybe like less than, maybe like 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, and then they're going to move on to something else. So it's like, okay, you have to kind of like string them along, but make it seem like, yeah, you can't make it too overwhelming. Like, oh, you've got to buy 14 expansions to be up to date on this game, and people are like, well, I can't afford that, so I guess I won't get into it. Like that's how I was with Warhammer. I looked at what appeared to be a very expensive hobby to get into, and it's like you got to learn all these skills to do it. It's like this seems like too much. I
Yeah.
might dabble in it a little bit, but I don't want to commit. Whereas Hero Quest seems very easy to get into. It's like,
It
okay, here's the
is.
one box, and if you want to buy other boxes, you can. But I think if they really push hard this idea of, oh, there's just constantly new expansions coming out, it might backfire. It might dilute the product. So
Yeah.
maybe it's good that they kind of finish up, so to speak, and then just make the rest of it digital and make the rest of it like, you know, just have a press conference, say, what's the new expansion? And then they just hold up the blank quest map and say, you do it.
Actually, that's kind of cool. that
Marketing
is that is kind of a genius plan.
every year. They brought in Joe Manganiello and he says, you make the quest.
Well, if you're what they wrestling they call it fan booking, I guess. What expansion would you want to do? What's in your wish list if you were in charge and they said, "Hey, Kurgan, you're in charge of the next expansion. What are you gonna do?"
Oh, like making it from scratch?
Yeah. What would you do?
Wow.
What
That's
would you
really putting
do?
me on the spot.
And it doesn't have to be your traditional expansion. Maybe it's just figures. I don't know. What would you do if it was?
Yeah. What would I want to see? I'm not really sure because I feel like so much of the things that I want to see have been done already. Like we've definitely spent a lot of time thinking about the elves and talking about their stuff. I guess I'd want to do something with the dwarves, but if they did the dwarf quest pack, they would have already done that. And I haven't learned enough about it, but yeah, I guess probably something to do with the dwarves
Okay,
would be the deal.
some sort of dwarf type of
Yeah,
expansion.
and because it's Hero Quest, it could be anything. That's the problem of trying to imagine it. It could be anything. It in the old days, it probably would have been, well, whatever they were doing with the dwarves in Warhammer Third Edition at that time is probably it would be something along those lines, maybe a little less. I don't know, maybe a little bit toned down for kids, you know, a little bit simpler, but basically that. So I don't know if it was just what they just live in the mines and drink
Yeah.
beer and make magical weapons. You know, it's like okay, well,
Yeah.
something to do with that, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be cool. I think I do like your blank map idea. That is kind of a cool idea. Here's our new expansion.
If I did have it's not much of a interesting idea, but I really want Space Crusade to come back. I
Ah,
really
okay.
like Star Quest,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I know that it's too hard because they have to get Games Workshop back, and like I know German fans would be perfectly fine if you brought Star Quest back because Star Quest has been, I mean, it's mostly expunged all the Games Workshop stuff already. It's just they happen to be using the models. But people outside of Germany and a couple other countries would be like, "What is this? This looks like 40K, but it's not. And I don't
Yeah.
understand." So they might not sell well. But I think having a, I know multiverse has been done to death, but it wouldn't have to be a multiverse. But having like a like if Hero Quest is your Flintstones or, or your Warcraft, and then you've got your Starcraft or your Jetsons out there, and it's 40K, you know, Space Crusade. I think if you could somehow tie the two games together, just as like a one-time crossover team up. I mean, I want to do that in my quests anyway, and I'm still working on the right time to do it. Like I'm thinking actually like the Space Marines have their own like rule set and the Hero Quest characters have their own rule set and they come together. It might be a fight, it might be a team up, but something like that. But I suppose to do something like that, you'd have to build up the other game first and then bring them together.
I still think on the blank map concept, and I've always thought this, that if they want a simple expansion that without having to do a lot of writers and stuff like that, just do a monsters expansion that has, 12 new figures, and just give them stats and say, here you go, or a furniture expansion, or just a card expansion. That wouldn't take that wouldn't take any play testing really. If you're just like, here's a artifact and spells expansion, $9.99, here's 50 cards, something like that.
See, you're the kind of guy that they should have on their team. Just giving just the simple answer, which is like, no, just more of this stuff. I think the only if I were at Hasbro, I think the only thing I would worry about with something like that is what distinguishes the monster pack, let's say, from getting some monsters from Reaper or some other company.
Yeah.
If you're making it all. So they would probably, but they could still do it easily.
Good.
Because until they have like super branded, like, oh, this is the Abominations, hierarchy, clan in a group, thing. And you've got the mother Abomination, and then you got the little kid Abominations, and you got the, wizard Abominations, and you get them all in a thing. You probably just have to have some lore in there, maybe a few cards saying like, oh yeah, these are the abilities that they have, and oh, and here's a little storyline for these monsters. But then otherwise it's just, yes, the Hero Quest title slapped on the box, and it could be any generic characters.
But it could be,
and
but
use these however you want.
Yeah.
Like
but
the hero collections.
That's
I'd like to see that too.
The genius behind it is like, it doesn't have to be, this is official Abominations. These are official, skeletons or whatever. Because then you wouldn't have to hire a writing crew or anything. You just go to the artist and say, make up 12 monsters for me, and and then, have Doug or somebody just write up, like you said, a few lines about some lore on them. And that's probably all you would need. But that just feeds the homebrew or the custom questing, the blank map that you alluded to. That helps that.
Yeah, because maybe people have kind of fallen out of that process of creating stuff, because I think back in the early 90s we were like, yeah, you make your own stuff, and I watched a movie last night which gave me an idea, let's put that in a quest.
Put that in
you
there.
Just do that. But now people are like, no, I want you to keep churning out like really cool stuff to surprise me. It's like, well,
yeah,
someone in your family could do that for you.
Yeah, there is that. I guess maybe I backstep a little bit on that. The new game mechanics and like Rise of the Dread Moon and stuff is pretty cool. So I don't know. Well, segueing off the expansions though, what official expansion that's coming out are you most excited about? So we've got against the Ogre Horde, we've got the monk figures coming out soon. We just have Prophecy of Telor and Spirit Queen just come out. I guess what are you excited about?
I was going to give the joke answer and say I'm really excited about those Dreadveil dice. That's an expansion.
Yes.
But no, I'm not. Well, plus I've already got them, so it's like not a big deal. And those purple, the purple's kind of hard to see. So those purple dice, I mean the little icons are purple. I think if they were maybe like silver or some other color, maybe it'd be a little easier to see. I definitely like the monk, but it's almost like I don't even need it because I already know the information and I'm just applying it to another figure. I mean, I almost feel obligated to buy it at this point, but maybe $15. No, I don't feel obligated to buy any of it. It's just, yeah.
It's cool.
I think the Ogre Horde is definitely, but that's like the only big box one. So it's like, what are my choices? My choices are A, or A.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I think
me too.
The fact that I know that they're going to make additions to it makes me curious.
Yes.
To see what those additions will be. And I have a sense that they haven't shot down any of the stuff we've been saying. Like, I think a lot of people early on were like, well, they're going to get rid of the magic tokens and they're going to get rid of the variable body points. What a stupid idea, as the original, well, as the Frozen Horror team said in 92. But they haven't shot those ideas down. They didn't say, well, we'll probably, because usually that's the sort of thing that and Carmine or Chris Nato would do. He would come in and say, "Well, I think if we did do that, we would probably do this," and he would have a
Yeah.
diplomatic way of dodging it, or you never know, we might do
Yeah.
this
Well,
instead.
yeah.
But he hasn't done that. So I'm thinking, well, maybe they're still going to do that. Maybe it's going to be pretty much as is, but then they've got this arena, whatever it is.
Yeah. The
I mean, a lot of
arena
speculation on
mechanic. Yeah.
the arena. They can just add to it and maybe throw in some more of their own ideas, because it seems like they've been doing that all along. Is they kind of catch up on the feedback and go, okay, well, we can make this little tweak here. We can include this little correction in one of the cards, and we'll just stick it in there. Oh, that miniature that people, we ran out of, we'll just cram that in the box. So people have come up with some speculations. I can't remember now the train of thought, but they were saying, well, there's definitely going to be a female dwarf in the against the ogre horde box. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I have heard
Female
that,
dwarf.
but I don't know where that comes from exactly.
Yeah, I kind of forgot, and I feel bad. I should have traced it back, but it's like, the board with all the photographs, and then you got the red yarn going from one to the other. It like makes a certain amount of sense, saying, well, if they're not going to do the dwarf quest pack, but there's a female dwarf, and they've already done like the alternate barbarian and elf, and then they're saving the wizard for the next one. That's probably it. They're saying, oh yeah, they're going to put the female wizard
Oh,
in Wizards of Morcar, or
okay, okay,
it might
okay.
not be Wizards of Zargon. Maybe Morcar is somebody else, or maybe or they just keep the name. I don't know. Part of me wants them to just keep a lot of the same, I guess, uniqueness of those
Yeah,
two packs, rather than sort of reformatting everything, because they could easily just kind of reformat it so
yeah.
it feels more like a North American pack.
Do you think they'll throw some extra furniture in there like they did Major Mirror, or any other extra throw-ins? Do you think?
100% guaranteed that they will have the Ogre Throne,
Well,
but
yes,
then
yes.
yeah. So the rumor I heard, and what is it backed by? I don't even know. There's going to be a chest for the ogres. What kind of a
Okay,
chest?
I
I
think I've
don't
heard
know.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And beyond that, who's to say? I think they should have like a breakable table that you can just like, throw the guy, because it's an arena. It could be ECW. You never know, or whatever.
Maybe we'll get a vintage Macho Man Randy Savage sculpt in there.
Yeah. Well, there is that Rumble Slam game. It's fantasy wrestling. It's
Yes,
not made by Games Workshop, but it's clearly, you know what I'm talking about,
I know what
in
it's
that
talking about.
vein.
Yes, yes, yeah. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
where it's like, yeah, you have parodies of like 80s, 90s wrestlers, but they're like dwarves and orcs and ogres
That's
and
awesome.
things.
That's awesome. I
And they're
saw
in a
that.
ring, and you got the moves. You get roll the special dice for them to fight.
Yeah,
Could be a great opportunity for a crossover.
there you go. There
Just
you
saying.
go. Yeah, I think I really like the path that Avalon Hill is on overall. I mean, they're playing fan service, but they're trying out some new things, especially with the
Agreed.
Rise of the Dread Moon. That was a whole. Do you think they'll? Okay, so
Mhm.
we got Ogre Horde coming out in March, possibly. What
Yeah, for
do you,
sure.
do you think
March.
they're going to go with a new expansion after that? They seem to go old, new, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think. Well, I also think that they're going to use their next opportunity to get some more of that mythic tier stuff out. Because I assume, I mean, everybody seemed very excited about Spirit Queen and Prophecy of Telor, despite the Haribo miniatures that everyone made fun of.
Yes, yeah, I'm on the fence on that. I mean, I'm glad they differ. Or I shouldn't say I'm glad. I understand why they maybe needed to differentiate, but I would have been totally fine if they just would have kept in the exact same color, exact same sculpt as the mythic. But maybe
Yeah,
they couldn't legally. I don't know.
yeah. Or they just felt like this would be the best thing to do. I don't
I
know.
don't know. Yeah.
Because they have two groups they're trying to keep happy. One, they're trying to keep the whole HasLab machine going and not
Yes.
derail that in any way. And they're also trying to keep uh, us happy,
Yeah.
and then we kind of like, I don't know, color the message to the masses of people who are less familiar with it. They're like, whoa, wait a minute. If all the fans are saying it's good, it must be good. Or if they hate it, it must be bad. We're not to the point where we're the enemy. Unfortunately, some
No.
franchises, as you know, the old fans become the enemy. It's like, oh, those guys are stuck in the past. They don't realize what it's really about, and then they kind of get ignored. But for now,
Ignored.
at least we have some credibility,
Yeah. Yeah.
not necessarily as individuals, but as a collective.
As a collective group. Yeah, that's
So
true.
everybody knows I'm wrong about the crossbow, but you get enough people together, it's like, okay, well, they have a point. Maybe I'll see what they say before I make up my own mind.
True. Well, what do you think after Ogre Horde? What do you think they're gonna do?
I think they will do some extra stuff. So they have done those smaller expansions. I think, like I said, I think Wizards of Morcar, probably with that title, will happen very shortly. But in between, they could easily do some smaller packs as well.
Are you thinking Wizards of Morcar in 24, or are you thinking 25?
I've heard 25, but I'm going to say 24.
Okay, so late
So I
24.
can be. You heard it here. I was wrong.
We'll see.
you
Amalgam
in
Ash
the
just
audience listening now know
track.
how wrong I was.
So you're thinking
Okay,
24,
but
huh?
yeah, I think at the rate they're going, I think they'll have it out by the end of next year.
So we might get a pretty good teaser at Gen Con and released maybe November, about this time next year.
Even more specific. Sure, let's go with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Q4 of 24. So you'll think more. So they'll go. So Ogre Horde in March of 2024, and you're thinking late 24 from Morcar. What do you, anything in between there? You think?
Right, that's the trick. So I think if they did a wizard, if they haven't completely gotten rid of the idea of doing a wizard or dwarf pack, that's the other thing. With those packs, let's say they have the notes and they're not going to make, the Hammers of Hadrakar or whatever. They're not going to make those at all. But they still could take ideas and concepts from those packs and put them other places. So maybe in the arena there'll be, I don't know, some evil dwarves that you have to fight or something. Like it could be something like that easily. They gave you the animal companion in Into the Northlands. That was part of the wizard pack originally. It was a saber-toothed snowcat. So it's like, okay, kind of similar. So I think if they did something in between, what would it be? I mean, it might be, like you say, like your monster pack. It might be, I mean, they've done so many of those little hero packs.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like it's time for something else.
I agree.
Would they really do I thought they would do a standalone furniture pack, like you said, but instead then they crammed it into 2 other boxes. It's almost like they're not confident enough to be able to do that a la carte thing. And I kind of remember those conversations where it was like they were steering us away from that. Like I'd say, well, Lee at Covert Nerd had this cool idea. And they're like, nah, they're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We're more focused on the big box expansions, and then we get the dice.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so the Dreadveil dice, that was the experiment. So it's almost like they're saying, no, we would never do that in a million years. And then I guess they get the go ahead to do it and they try it out.
Yeah, that's true.
See how it goes. So maybe we would get, like you say, something like that. Instead of just having like a couple pieces here or there to sweeten the deal, we got, the Ogre furniture collection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if we were talking about the female dwarf, maybe the next hero is a female dwarf instead of, like the monk. I don't know.
Yeah, why would it have to be a new character that has new mechanics? It could just be an alternate version by herself. Here she is. It's just a figure. And
the hero expansion thing is like, it's starting to get a little long in the tooth. Maybe you could do one more, but after that, I don't know.
Yeah. Or it could be a bigger box, but inside the box, it's like, 4 more, like a different version of each of the 4 heroes with different art.
Okay.
Just kind of like the Mythic box was originally. You had those 4 heroes.
Yeah. Oh,
you got the original 4, alternate 4.
I like that. Yeah. So throw that out.
And really, what were the Mythic tier, stretch goals? It was just like a different sculpt of orc, a different sculpt of skeleton. So you could have a whole box with, it's all the same monsters, all the same stats, but they just look different.
Exactly. Yes, I'd buy that.
Yeah, skeletal archers for some reason. Skeletons who have no depth perception. They can just magically shoot you with their arrows. I don't know. Is there some movie? I'm trying to think of like where would skeletal archers come from? Probably video games, right? Aren't they like in video games?
There's like I think it was an old Sinbad movie, but I think they had swords. I don't think they had.
Yeah. Because there was Clash of the Titans and then Jason and the Argonauts.
Yes.
Yeah, Seven Voyages of Sinbad, like stop motion.
Yes.
I think Clash of the okay, tell me if I'm wrong, Mr. Nerd. Clash of the Titans was the Scorpions,
Yes, it was.
and Jason and the Argonauts was the skeletons with the
The
swords.
skeletons with the swords, but I thought Sinbad may have had him too, but I'm not sure. It's been a long time.
I think is it the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
or
Yes.
I can't remember if it, because there's one I saw that it was a Hydra and they had to cut off the heads of the Hydra.
Yes.
Maybe that was like some other movie.
Argonauts for sure. I know had the skeletons, but I think they had swords.
Herhausen stuff. But yeah, one of those. But yeah, so a lot of people want skeletal archers. A lot of people want Skaven or Skaven, however you say it.
Yes,
the rat folk,
Ratmen.
vermin.
Yes, I'd love to see those.
People.
Yeah, Ratmen, Lizardmen.
Yeah, people want lizard men. People want ogres, but of course, yeah, we're getting those. People want trolls. A lot of trolls on the internet they could use for their next expansion.
Yes.
Zing. I don't know, beast mounts.
Beast mounts.
People want a like a beast master kind of character.
Okay, here's another question. Then we talked about figures. Okay, what monster would you want to see next if they have a new expansion coming out? What are some new monsters? You listed a few. I guess is that some of the ones you'd want?
I mean, I guess a dragon would be nice, but maybe it would be a different sculpt than Joe's dragon. Or it's like, well, they brought me back on, and this one is not proprietary.
I guess my 2 cents on the dragon. I like it because hey, I always wanted to see it, but I'm not as enamored with it as I once was. It still looks awesome, but I think a different dragon it's on the pillar thing. I don't know. I just don't like that as well as.
Do you want like a big like dinosaur sized dragon? Because I'm actually fine with like a smaller dragon.
No, the smaller dragon's fine, just not on a pillar. You know how it's mounted.
Maybe just like a 2-base monster, like Darkfire from what's the game?
Or
Dragon Strike.
Dragon Strike one. Yeah, that would be fine. I'd be okay with that.
Because he looked intimidating. He looked cool, but he wasn't that big.
Yeah, it wasn't that big. I don't need a giant one.
The only problem was the little bits breaking off.
That's true. That's true. Well, we already talked about how 2026 is kind of the unofficial run for Hero Quest. Is that right? Or how long do you think it's going to?
Well, they said 2027 and 2028. But I think there's probably like, okay, why would they say that if there wasn't any truth to it? But it also could be wishful thinking on the team's part. Like if they just have like success upon success and it just keeps on growing, then they'll probably just do it as long as they can,
Yeah.
They may have like ideas stretching out for years and years to come.
Sure.
But as soon as the hammer drops, it's like, well, I'm sorry. It's just not as profitable as it needs to be. So we're done. So those concepts just get unused.
I understand. You're one flop away from getting the axe.
Yeah. But part of me really wishes that, the Hero Quest universe would continue to expand like with other games. So you'd have like bringing Battle Masters back. Space Crusade, I realize it's not directly connected, so it wouldn't have to come back. But I mean, they could do other things besides just the board game. You could have novels, you could have comics, you could have other collectibles. If they just want to sell merch, that has Hero Quest themed. I mean, at a certain point, it becomes ridiculous. You get Star Wars and you get like, vegetables that have Kylo Ren on the side. It's like, okay, that's kind of silly, but sell a few plushies, sell a few stickers,
T-shirts,
people like that. Yeah. And then you can raise money, you keep the brand going, and maybe that means you can get more quality expansions. Or it doesn't have to be. Maybe at a certain point the expansions just stop. Probably not, because companies just don't do that anymore. They squeeze every last dollar they can out of stuff. But if they wanted to stop and just keep selling the stuff they've got and then just sell merch and encourage people to create their own stuff at a certain point.
That's a good point. You don't see official Hero Quest merch, mugs and T-shirts and calendars or
you posters. See fans making that stuff and
fans are making it. Maybe
hats,
maybe they're like, we don't need to, just let the fans make it.
Well, that's the other thing too, because all those Etsy people would get crushed if all of a sudden Hasbro was putting out the official HeroQuest, hat and the official HeroQuest mug and the official HeroQuest T-shirt and
That's
whatever.
true.
So it'd be like, well, what are you guys talking about? I don't
Yeah.
have anything, like it's not it's FanQuest.
It's
Yeah,
Fan
that's the ticket,
Quest. Exactly.
or something.
Exactly.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Monster wise, I think a lot of people want, like, they feel like there was a trajectory going. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, a lot of those things that you see in other games like D&D or Warcraft are wanting to be made. I mean, there were going to be Ratmen in one of the unreleased expansions, so it was already there. They just
Yeah.
changed the name so it didn't sound too Games Workshop-y. But I think you could do like with the monsters, like, okay, you've got the mummy, you've got
Hmm.
the zombie. It's like, where's the vampire? Where's the
Good point. Yeah.
uh, werewolf? Well, I guess you've got the werewolf already. Yeah, you get the werewolf, you got the mummy, you got the zombie. You don't have the vampire. You've got the skeleton. What other creatures could you fit? You've got ghosts now.
Ghost. Yeah, we've got Ghost. Yeah, I know. That's just awesome. They're gonna have to do a little work, but there's plenty more monsters to go around if they really wanted to.
Yeah.
And like you said, you could do 8 different sculpts of the same thing. I would love to see more.
Mhm.
You love orcs. Let's get 3 or 4 more sculpts of an orc.
Yeah. People want orcs that have like crossbows or
Yeah.
longbows or spears, like that, because they appear in Against the Ogre Horde, and it's like, well, you wouldn't need to. I mean, the HeroQuest convention has always been you just grab the nearest miniature and say that's what it is. But what if you had a sculpt that had that weapon? That'd be kind of cool, especially
Beastmen.
if you're painting them.
Yeah.
Beastmen, yeah.
Beastmen, minotaurs. Spiders.
Animal humans. Like, give them a different name.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's insect type creatures. I mean, there's so many, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I like those. Yeah.
there's a
Ice
lot.
Devil,
So yeah. Well,
Bugmen.
I'll let you go, Kurgan, but it's been fun talking. Let everybody know your Twitch channel, Discord, all that stuff, how they can where they can find you at.
Thanks a lot. It's been a pleasure as always. Yeah, so it's called HeroQuest Fans as one word. It's twitch.tv/HeroQuest Fans. We stream these days Fridays and Saturdays. Fridays it's 2 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. Saturdays it's 6 to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. We actually stream live games on YouTube. It's XSC3, Home of HeroQuest Fans. So if you type that in, you'll find the YouTube channel, which is mostly just an archive of the stuff we do on Twitch, but some original content. And then the Discord, I can't really do all the letters. It's like, is it on my screen?
Yeah.
No.
I'll just put a link in the show notes. So,
Yes,
but yes.
thank you. Yeah. So HeroQuest Fans Discord. And we're not competitive, so we promote all these other people. So Malgamash, Ash Quest, Dungeon Quest, LaGuardia, Demorcar, Dungeon Master, Covert
Yes.
Nerd.
Yeah. There you go.
All these people, Sir Death Vids, Dead Gamer. I mean, there's so many people out there
There
now
are.
that are
Yeah.
talking about HeroQuest. We promote them all, and if you have more, definitely bring them to our attention because our community just grows.
It does, yeah.
We
That's
love
what I
it.
like about the reboot or remake, whatever you want to call it. It's definitely grown the fan base, and everybody's getting all creative with all sorts of things. So it's neat.
Yeah.
The Ye Old Inn's still around. I still go check that out. I know you're
Oh yeah.
pretty active on that. That's the old school forum
Yep.
from back in the
I
late
still
'90s.
I still cross post stuff like when we find it on there,
Yeah, it's
because sometimes we find it out there first and then it comes back. So
yep,
because I'm not on Reddit, I'm not on Instagram or X or any of that stuff, or Facebook, but I know people that are, and they make sure to bring it to us, and then we make sure to return the favor and copy and paste it where it needs
yeah.
to go, just so everybody sees it.
If you're a HeroQuest fan, check it all out. There's so much out there, the good stuff,
Yeah.
homebrew stuff, and just fans that are come up with great ideas. So
Well, I have one last thing. Have you tried the companion app lately?
I have not. No, I tried it early on when it came out. I just haven't gotten back to checking it
It's
out.
it's come a long way. It
Good.
really has.
Okay.
They actually put in a feature where you can get the monsters to attack like the weakest hero,
Ah,
and you can
nice.
do like automatic upgrades. So they'll do like all the monsters have one extra body point, one extra mind point. The skeletons can attack diagonally. The goblins can attack, move. There's like other things that they put in.
Ah, Cool.
I mean, it's still limited. I mean,
Yeah.
it's still better to have, in my opinion, a human
Of course.
Zargon running the game. But
Of course.
it has come a long way, and the fact that I know there's only 2 guys working on it, I mean, I give them a little bit of
Yes. I give them,
leeway.
yes. Now that I know that, I give them a little bit of grace. It's just 2 guys, and they're probably overworked anyway.
But our job is just to spread the word, because I think a
Yes.
lot of people, they're just like, oh, I don't have any friends. I can't play this game. I just play it by myself. It's like, no, there's people online. It's not just us.
Yeah.
Like, there's other people out there who run like tabletop simulator games
Mhm.
or like vassal games. There's like so many ways, or they do meetups, and they play HeroQuest. And it's a lot easier to do that now than it was even just a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
check the internet. You might find some people willing to play, or shell out $100 and see if you can get your family to play.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, hey, Kurgan, I appreciate it. We're gonna put a
Thank
pin
you.
in this one.